Tonight, we explore one of the most unforgettable winter storms to ever hit the Susquehanna Valley.
Wires just pulling apart. The bridge is screaming.
And we look ahead to the cutting-edge technology that's changing how we predict and prepare for winter weather.
AI models are emerging so fast.
From advanced AI forecasting models, the life-saving tools updating you during a storm, and the teams working round the clock to keep the Susquehanna Valley moving no matter what winter throws our way.
Welcome to the WGAL News 8 Storm Team Winter Weather Outlook. Our team of meteorologists is working hard to prepare you for the months ahead. We'll explain how we forecast the weather that impacts you and the preparation already underway to handle winter storms. And of course, the forecast for how much snow we are expecting this year. Well, snowstorms, they upend our lives the most, closing roads, disrupting commutes, and canceling plans. But the days of checking the TV or the radio to hear your school called are over. Remote learning now forces school districts into more decisions. News 8's Thasmin Mahfouz visits Pequea Valley School District.
When winter strikes, News Center 8's Morning Report strikes back.
The good old days.
It was Calhoun, it was Susan Shapiro. Those were the two that I remember.
Susan Shapiro give the Susquehanna Valley's most complete list of school and business.
Even as a kid, Pequea Valley School District Superintendent Eric Orendorf got his news and sports from WGAL.
I wasn't allowed to stay up for some of the football games, so I would hurry up, and on Tuesday morning after Monday Night Football, Susan would tell me who won.
He was especially keen on getting the snow day forecast, too.
I knew when it was a little more icy than snowy, we definitely had the day off. So I was looking for slippery was the key word.
Calhoun. We far outdistance the competition.
Oh my, I wish we had more snow like we did back then.
Jamil Smoker, a lifelong Lancaster County resident and STEM teacher at Pequea Valley, remembers waiting to see if he was off the hook from school.
The longest list of school closings or delays.
You always would look at the scroll. WGAL was an example you look at as well. Try to find your school alphabetically and the excitement that was there, and hey, I have off today.
And once school was out, whether it's the 80s, 90s, or 2025, the snow day activities are,
after the first school cancellation of the season,
timeless.
We always had a contest of who would have the biggest snowman.
Who would win?
We would win, the Orendorf family.
The Orendorf family.
And I want every neighbor to hear that too.
But snow days aren't the same anymore.
After the shutdown in 2020, schools had to get used to doing virtual learning.
So the district built in 3 snow days with the option of adding virtual days if necessary.
I believe there's some merit to having old-fashioned snow days built into the calendar. I mean, I think a lot of us that are watching here tonight or that are having conversations about this topic remember having snow days when they were kids.
Memories that keep growing for the Smoker family.
I'm a parent in the district as well. My kid goes here. I would like to still have snow days to say, hey, today's off. It's a vacation day for you. Enjoy it, have fun.
Something students are on board with.
We're all so distant now, and I feel like if we kind of all come together, it'll be like old times, very nostalgic.
And times we can't help but miss too.
Schools closed for a week during one of the biggest snow events in the Susquehanna Valley. We're talking about the blizzard of '96, 30 years ago this winter season. Retired News 8 meteorologist Joe Calhoun explains how that blizzard played a big role in the collapse of the Walnut Street Bridge.
The west side of the Walnut Street Bridge in Harrisburg collapsed on January 20th, 1996, when massive blocks of ice slammed into it. But to understand why it happened, we have to go back about 6 weeks prior. That winter roared in, a very cold December with 17 inches of snow, and we had a few more inches right around New Year's. The blizzard of '96 hit on Sunday, January 7th with 22.2 inches of snow piling up through Monday morning. Another 2.2 inches of snow fell Tuesday into early Wednesday of that week, followed by 10.8 more inches of snow on Friday. It still stands as our snowiest week on record, totaling 35.2 inches of snow. All schools and many businesses were closed, and lots of roads and highways were also shut down. A January thaw started the next week. By the following Friday, January 19th, we warmed to 56 degrees with over an inch of rain falling through the Susquehanna River Basin. This caused rapid river rises, breaking the ice on the river into chunks as big as boxcars. And they came racing down the Susquehanna River, taking the Walnut Street Bridge with them. I remember going to a high school basketball game that Friday evening. Everybody was talking about the warm, the rain, and the threat of flooding. The Walnut Street Bridge collapsed at 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday.
And with that, an historic Harrisburg symbol was gone. Susan Shapiro met one woman who was there and captured the final moments as the bridge came down.
Harrisburg's bridges are really sort of a symbol of the city.
Those bridges span the Susquehanna River, connecting the city to the West Shore. Built in 1888, the Walnut Street Bridge is the oldest one along the entire length of the river. David Morrison is the executive director of the Historic Harrisburg Association. He says the bridge, built by the Phoenix Bridge Company, has a unique design.
They pioneered a style of design of cast iron bridge structures to make them lightweight but very sturdy, very strong. And that's this particular bridge with its truss design.
The bridge stood the test of time until January 20th, 1996. A rapid rise on the river after a warm-up and heavy rain broke up thick ice into huge chunks. They knocked down piers, causing 3 spans of the bridge to collapse.
January 20th was a really cold but sunny day.
Sue Yenchko remembers it well. She has a bird's-eye view of the river from her home in Lemoyne and watched the catastrophe unfold.
To my amazement, the bridge was moving down the river. Now, I don't think bridges are supposed to do that.
She grabbed her Canon film camera with just a few frames left and went to her neighbor's deck to document the event.
Here was the first picture that I took, and this is right after it broke away, and then it was like watching a sailing ship come down the river. It was an incredible moment in Harrisburg River history.
Sue's copyrighted photo ended up on the front page of a commemorative issue of the Patriot News.
It was awful to watch, but awesome also to see that a bridge could be destroyed that way.
The damaged spans were recovered from the river. A lot of the cast iron was cut up into souvenir pieces like this as part of a fundraising campaign. But that campaign was never enough to get that part of the bridge rebuilt.
It's a big shame. And now the importance of non-vehicular transportation infrastructure, I'll call it, is far bigger than it was 30 years ago.
The span from Harrisburg to City Island remains a popular spot for pedestrians, cyclists, it's beautiful, and even those in love.
I actually got engaged here, so I love coming here.
But the rest of the bridge is like a smile with a gaping hole, unlikely to ever be filled.
After the catastrophe, a new role was born. News 8's AJ Sisson introduces us to Ben Pratt, a professional ice jam spotter, who shows us how vital rapid detection is in preventing disaster.
Ice is so unpredictable.
Ben Pratt, a 20-year ice jam spotter and a water resources engineer at the Susquehanna River Basin Commission. He monitors Susquehanna River ice over a span of about 20 miles along the river, doing so by taking pictures.
I can tell you that most of our time spent ice observing is like watching grass grow.
Pratt's job came to be after the 1996 Walnut Street Bridge collapse. That event highlighted how unpredictable ice is.
There's no roadmap for if it will jam, when it will jam.
This is the Walnut Street Bridge here behind me. When that ice jam happened in 1996, it caused the flood to rise up even past my height. I'm 6'3", to the height of the bridge there.
Ice forecasting is nearly impossible. What you can count on when ice is present is its uncertainty, pointing out there's critical times in spotting.
It's when we get into a situation where temperatures are warming, the river's rising, that's when we look for mechanical breakup and movement of ice.
Some years we see 3 to 4 weeks of ice on the Susquehanna River. Some years there's no ice.
That seems to be becoming more the norm now, that we're not getting as much snow and our winters are staying warmer.
When he sees something alarming, Pratt lets the National Weather Service and hydroelectric plants along the river know.
The more eyes on the river, the better.
There aren't ice forecasts, only temperature forecasts and river watchers like Pratt.
It's a situation that can really only be monitored manually. There's no remote way to monitor ice.
Another new tool is making its way into weather forecasting. We're talking about artificial intelligence. Meteorologist Mary Ellen Pan shows us how AI stacks up against traditional models.
Every day, meteorologists look at a suite of operational models. Do you ever wonder where they come from? The American models come from NCEP, National Center for Environmental Prediction in College Park, Maryland. And now at NCEP, there is a team developing AI, or artificial intelligence forecast technology. It is being used to predict the future with greater speed, efficiency, and accuracy than traditional methods.
All these traditional models, particularly for weather prediction, heavily depend on the current state of the atmosphere. The more accurate you know the current state, the better your predictions will be. AI models typically run the same forecast in less than 10 seconds.
Vijay says AI models are faster because the system used to process data into graphics is designed for these operations.
AI models are definitely much faster. These models are trained on the past data.
Despite generating a faster forecast, one of the challenges is getting high-quality data to train the AI to predict severe weather.
We don't have high-resolution data for the entire globe for the last 30-40 years. So that makes it a little bit difficult in terms of expecting these AI models to do well for extremes.
The eventual goal is to have AI models work alongside physical models, not replace them.
And be creative in producing products that are probabilistic in nature but can give you much more confident information.
So for now, combining operational models and the use of artificial intelligence plus the expertise and experience of meteorologists will bring you the most accurate forecast.
Coming up, what's the difference between rain, snow, and sleet? How temperatures influence the type of precipitation that falls. Plus, every snowstorm is different. Why some drop heavy snow, perfect for snowballs, while others drop light, fluffy flakes. Forecasting the type of precipitation in the winter can be tricky. Meteorologist Mike Susko breaks down the layers of warm and cold in the atmosphere.
The winter time here in Pennsylvania can bring us multiple different types of precipitation, ranging from rain all the way to snow. But the big question is, how do we get it? Let's take a look at the sky here, and we're going to find out exactly how we get all those types of precipitations, because it really depends on the layer of warm air. And that's why winter forecasting in Pennsylvania can be very tricky. Let's start off with rain. In order to get rain, we have snow that forms in the clouds, but it encounters a warm layer of air. You can see that warm air layer here in red. As the snowflakes fall through this layer, it melts and never goes back into freezing back up because the temperature remains above freezing all the way down to the surface. But let's talk about freezing rain. This is when you end up getting that ice on your cars, and it's extremely dangerous and hard to get off. For freezing rain, we actually have the warm layer a little bit above the surface, but then a very thin layer of cold air. You can see that cold air here in blue. That allows those raindrops to freeze on contact because the ground surface itself is below freezing. So when the rain hits the surface, it freezes on contact. Now for sleet, that thin layer of cold air for freezing rain is a little bit thicker, and that allows those raindrops as they fall through the sky to refreeze into ice pellets, giving you that classic boink boink with the sleet. Now for snow, snow is going to be the case where you have cold air all the way, no matter what, from cloud to ground.
Temperatures and storm track have a huge impact on the type of precipitation we get in the winter. Meteorologist Ethan Houston shows us the most common storms.
We see the largest variety of weather during our winter months. However, our wintry weather is delivered mainly by just 3 types of winter storms. We call them the 3 C's: clippers, cutters, and coastals. Let's start with clippers. Clipper storms form to our northwest, often over the Canadian province of Alberta. They usually are fast movers. Clippers usually bring minor snowfall to the region and deliver a fresh blast of cold air as they move away. One dangerous thing about clippers is they can be the type of storm that brings us snow squalls. Next up are cutters. These are storms that first move into the deep south, draw in warm air and lots of moisture from the Gulf. Then they make a hard cut to the north towards the Midwest or the Ohio River Valley. Storms like these bring mostly rain to the Susquehanna Valley, but depending on the depth of cold air, they can bring a winter mix of snow, sleet, rain, or freezing rain during the storm's arrival. Finally, we have coastal storms. Like cutters, these storms first move into the deep south, gathering warm air and lots of moisture from the Gulf or Atlantic. Then they head north. If there is high pressure to block an inland track of a storm, the storm cannot cut straight to the north. Instead, the storm will travel near or along the east coast. That puts the Susquehanna Valley on the cold side of the storm, and that can mean a major snowstorm. The biggest snowstorms of all time here in the Susquehanna Valley all came from coastal nor'easters, including the record-setting snowstorm of late January 2016, which produced 30.2 inches of snow in just 2 days. So this winter, be prepared for the News 8 Storm Team to talk about the 3 different types of storms.
Coming up, when snow is coming down, PennDOT jumps into action. A behind-the-scenes look at the equipment it uses and how new technology makes for safer roads. Even before a winter storm hits, PennDOT is working to keep roads clear, and now they're getting help from new technology. Meteorologist Ryan Argenti gives us a look at the machines speeding up the process.
Inside PennDOT's maintenance facility in York County, rows of plow trucks sit ready for the first snowmaker of the season. Right where we are now, this is where the Commonwealth's winter fight begins. Each site stores thousands of tons of salt and liquid brine. Crews say having equipment staged here cuts response time when conditions get slippery.
It's 2,000 gallons the tow plow will cover, and we have about somewhere in the area 28,000 gallons with these tanks when they're full.
And this year, PennDOT is adding new technology to the fleet, including the swing plow, all designed to make clearing roads faster and more efficient.
When this thing is fully extended, it's covering 26 foot of roadway. It does a very good job cleaning. We think it's because of the weight of everything here, but it definitely makes a difference when you follow this truck.
So how does road salt actually work? What happens is that when the salt makes contact with the ground, it lowers the freezing point on the pavement, so that way water and ice can't bond as easily. So when water and ice hit the ground, it doesn't freeze right at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Rather, once it gets down into the 20-degree range, that's when crews will begin to switch over to liquid brine, which gives it a little bit of extra punch when treating the roadways.
Pre-treating the anti-icing the day or two before. We'll go out and we'll use these on the interstate to spray the interstate.
That mix helps keep snow from sticking, making it more effective when plowing and saving on salt use.
So when the snow starts flying, PennDOT's strategy is already in place. With trucks, salt, and science mixing together, helps keep the roads clear and the drivers safe.
And PennDOT says they'll keep monitoring weather around the clock this winter, adjusting their response as storms roll in.
Coming up, we'll look back at last winter, and I'll have the monthly breakdown of what to expect this winter, including how much snow. It is now time for our winter weather outlook, but first, let's look back at last year. Last year in December, January, and February, our temperatures were below average by over 2 degrees. Our snowfall for the season was also below average. We ended up with 15.4, about half of what we typically get in an average winter. I think the biggest takeaway for me were those 3 consecutive sub-zero lows that we had in January. It was part of a cold stretch that was the coldest since 1994. Let's look ahead to this year. The first thing I like to start out with is the El Niño Southern Oscillation, or ENSO. Right now, we are in a weak La Niña phase, indicated by these blue bars. But notice the percentage chance of a La Niña drops as the winter goes on, and an ENSO neutral pattern emerges by the end of winter. So what is La Niña? It's marked by below average ocean water temperatures off the equatorial Pacific. That drives jet stream patterns around the globe and controls our weather pattern. It leads to a weakened southern jet, so we don't get those big, juicy storms like we do in an El Niño year. But it also leads to an active Pacific jet and a strong polar jet. So that brings in Pacific moisture across the U.S. and gives us slightly wetter, warmer conditions compared to average. Another teleconnection I like to look at is called the Pacific Decadal Oscillation, or PDO. Right now, it's historically negative, marked by very warm water in the northern Pacific and cooler water in the Gulf of Alaska. Notice the jet stream pattern across the United States is similar to a La Nina pattern, so it kind of reinforces that for us. So looking ahead to the winter of 2025-2026, I see a similar setup to last year. A weakening La Nina and a strongly negative PDO. We may see some prolonged cold shots if the jet stream can buckle, but it may also be mild at times, so I think those two things might cancel each other out. I see smaller snowstorms on the table for us, those nuisance storms, a couple inches each. Large coastal storms are not likely in this pattern. And we could see some mixed events, especially toward the end of winter, say February into March. Now, I broke down month by month the forecast for you. I took a look at similar patterns in years past, and almost every single one of those years had below average temperatures in December. So that's what we're going with for December, below average temperatures. 2 to 4 opportunities for at least 1 inch of snow, and that will result in above average snowfall in December. For January, average to slightly below average temperatures. We may have some cold outbreaks. 3 to 5 opportunities for snow, a little better in January, resulting in near average snowfall around 9 inches. For February, above average temperatures. This one looks a bit warmer. 1 to 3 opportunities for snow, resulting in below average snowfall in February. So overall, for the winter of 2025 to 2026, I'm forecasting near average to slightly below average temperatures, around a half a degree below average. Seasonal snowfall, here it is, 15 to 25 inches. And might not appease snow lovers there, because remember, our average is 29, almost 30 inches of snow. What to expect? I see a colder, snowier start to winter and a milder finish. That wraps up our winter weather outlook. Remember, you can always find the latest forecast and our interactive radar at WGAL.com and on the WGAL app. Be sure to turn on the alert so you know when winter weather is headed your way. Thanks so much for watching, and have a safe and enjoyable winter.